There are people in this world who walk through storms, yet somehow they remain untouched by the darkness around them. Not because the storm isn't real, not because the people aren't harmful, but because there is a shield you cannot see, a protection that does not come from this world. And when Allah places that protection over someone, no evil intention, no hidden jealousy, no toxic presence can truly harm them. A woman who is protected by Allah is not necessarily the loudest, not the most noticed, not the one seeking validation from the world. Yet there is something about her, something calm, something grounded, something unshakable. People may try to approach her with bad intentions, but somehow things don't work out for them. Plans fall apart. Words don't reach her the way they were intended. And she walks away, sometimes confused, not realizing that what just happened was not coincidence. It was rahmah, it was divine intervention. There is a type of protection that does not announce itself, does not come with visible signs, and does not always make sense in the moment. It is quiet, almost hidden, yet it is one of the most powerful forms of care a person can ever receive. When Allah protects someone, it is not always through dramatic interventions or obvious miracles. Sometimes it is in the small things that go unnoticed, the delays that frustrate you, the plans that collapse without explanation, the conversations that never happen, and the opportunities that slip away just when you thought they were yours. A woman who is protected by Allah may not even realize the depth of what she is being saved from. She might feel confused when things don't go her way. She might question why certain relationships never worked out, why certain people suddenly distanced themselves, or why doors she worked so hard for remained closed. But behind all of that is a wisdom far greater than her understanding, a protection that sees what she cannot see, that knows what lies ahead, and that gently redirects her without exposing her to harm. Sometimes protection comes in the form of discomfort. A feeling in the heart that something is not right, even when everything on the surface seems perfect. She may not have evidence, she may not be able to explain it, but her qalb feels uneasy. That uneasiness is not random. It is a form of guidance, a subtle signal that something in that situation is not meant for her. And if she listens to it, if she respects that feeling, she is being protected from something that could have hurt her deeply. Other times, protection appears as distance. People who could have brought harm into her life are kept away, not because she is better than others, but because Allah knows her qalb, her sincerity, and her intention to remain on the right path. So He creates distance. He removes certain individuals before they can cause damage. He breaks connections before they can become toxic. And while it may feel like loss at first, it is actually preservation. There are moments when she may feel like she is missing out. She sees others gaining things she wanted, forming connections she hoped for, stepping into spaces she prayed for, and she wonders why it wasn't written for her. But what she doesn't see is that what was kept away from her may have carried hidden harm. What she perceives as being left behind is actually being held back for her own protection. Because not everything that looks good is good for her, and not everything she desires will bring her peace. And then there are the times when harm comes close, very close, yet it never fully touches her. Someone may intend to hurt her, to deceive her, to break her, but somehow their plans fail. Words get lost, intentions get exposed, situations shift at the last moment. It's as if something invisible stands between her and that harm, blocking it, redirecting it, dissolving it before it can reach her. She may walk away thinking she was lucky, but it was never luck. It was divine protection working in ways beyond her comprehension. This kind of protection does not mean she will never face pain. It does not mean she will live a life free from tests. In fact, she may go through challenges that feel heavy and overwhelming. But even within those challenges, there is a limit. There is a boundary that harm cannot cross. She may be tested, but she is not abandoned. She may feel hurt, but she is not destroyed. Because the protection of Allah is not about removing every difficulty. It is about ensuring that nothing breaks her in a way that distances her from Him. What makes this protection even more profound is that it is often tied to her sincerity, her quiet efforts to stay connected to Allah, her intention to do what is right even when it is hard, her alauda to Him in moments of daf. She may not be perfect, she may stumble, she may make mistakes, but there is a sincerity in her heart that draws this protection toward her. And Allah in His mercy surrounds her with a shield that operates silently, consistently, and powerfully. It is in the unanswered questions, the unexpected turns, the closed doors, and the unseen rescues that this protection reveals itself. And while she may not always understand it in the moment, over time, when she reflects, when she looks back at the path she has walked, she begins to see a pattern of being saved, of being guided, of being kept away from what could have harmed her, even when she once desired it deeply. There is a kind of calmness that cannot be explained by circumstances. It does not come from having a perfect life, nor from being surrounded by ease, comfort, or constant happiness. It comes from something much deeper, something rooted within the soul. A woman who is protected by Allah often carries this inner peace, even when everything around her feels unstable, uncertain, or overwhelming. It is not that she does not feel pain or that she is unaffected by what happens around her, but there is a quiet coot within her that keeps her from falling apart completely. People may look at her life from the outside and assume that she has fewer problems, fewer struggles, fewer reasons to feel anxious or stressed. But the reality may be very different. She may be facing challenges that no one else knows about. She may be carrying burdens in her heart that she does not speak of. She may be dealing with disappointment, loss, confusion, or even betrayal. Yet despite all of this, there is a stillness in her heart, a sense of grounding that keeps her steady when others would have been shaken. This inner peace is not something she created on her own. It is not simply a personality trait or a natural tendency to stay calm. It is a gift, a form of protection that Allah places within her. Because when the heart is protected, it does not become easily consumed by negativity. It does not allow fear to take over completely. It does not let the chaos of the world dictate its state. Instead, it finds a way to return to a place of trust even when things don't make sense. There are moments when everything around her may feel like it is falling apart. Plans don't work out, people change, situations become complicated, and uncertainty begins to grow. Anyone in that position would feel overwhelmed, and she does too. She feels the weight of it, she feels the confusion, she feels the emotional impact of what is happening. But deep within her, there is a voice that reminds her that she is not alone, that there is a wisdom behind what she is going through, and that she will be guided through it. This does not mean she never cries or that she never experiences moments of weakness. She does. She has nights where her heart feels heavy, where her thoughts overwhelm her, where she questions what is happening in her life. But even in those moments, there is a connection that remains unbroken. She turns back to Allah, even if it is with a qalb that feels tired. And in that turning, she finds a sense of relief, a sense of reassurance that slowly brings her back to that inner calm. What makes this peace so powerful is that it is not dependent on external validation. She does not need everything around her to be perfect in order to feel okay. She does not rely on people to give her stability because she understands that people can change, situations can shift, and nothing in this world is guaranteed. Instead, her qalb is anchored in something constant, something unchanging. And that connection gives her the ability to remain steady even when everything else is uncertain. There are times when others may try to disturb her peace. They may bring negativity, drama, or harmful intentions into her space. They may speak words meant to hurt her, to shake her confidence, or to create doubt within her. But somehow those words do not settle in her heart the way they were intended to. She hears them, she understands them, but they do not define her. They do not break her neutral state, because the protection she carries acts as a barrier, preventing that negativity from taking root within her. Even when she faces disappointment, there is a level of acceptance that eventually follows. Not immediate, not without struggle, but it comes. She begins to understand that not everything that happens is meant to harm her. Some things are meant to teach her, to redirect her, to bring her closer to Allah. And with that understanding, her qalb begins to settle again. The storm may still be there, but it no longer controls her neutral world. This kind of peace is rare because it requires trust. It requires the ability to surrender to something greater than oneself, to believe that there is a plan even when it is not visible. And a woman who is protected by Allah is given the ability to hold on to that trust even when it is difficult. She may not always express it outwardly. She may not always have the perfect words to describe it, but it is there, quietly guiding her, quietly stabilizing her, quietly reminding her that no matter what she faces, she will not be left without support. And over time, this peace becomes a part of who she is. It shapes the way she responds to challenges, the way she interacts with others, the way she carries herself through life. People may not always understand it, they may not always see where it comes from, but they feel it. They notice that she is different, that she does not react the way others do, that she holds herself with a certain calmness that is not easily shaken. And what they are witnessing is not just strength, it is protection manifesting within her qalb, allowing her to move through life with a sense of tranquility that cannot be taken away by the chaos around her. There are moments in life when people walk away, when connections suddenly weaken, when relationships you thought would last begin to fade without a clear explanation. It can feel confusing, even painful. You question what went wrong, what you could have done differently, why something that once felt so right no longer holds together. But sometimes what feels like rejection is actually protection, and what feels like loss is a form of mercy that you may not immediately recognize. A woman who is protected by Allah often experiences this in a unique way. People who carry harmful intentions, whether subtle or obvious, do not remain in her life for long. They may come close, they may even seem genuine at first, but something happens that creates distance. Misunderstandings arise, circumstances change, or the connection simply dissolves. At the time, it may feel like something is being taken away from her, but in reality, something harmful is being removed before it has the chance to settle deeply into her life. Not every person who leaves is bad, and not every separation is easy to accept. Sometimes she genuinely cares, sometimes she had hopes, sometimes she saw potential in that connection. That is what makes it difficult, because she is not losing something she never valued, she is losing something she once believed in. But Allah sees what she cannot see. He knows the intentions hidden in hearts, the outcomes that lie ahead, the ways in which certain people could affect her faith, her peace, and her direction in life. So He creates a fasila, a distance that may hurt in the moment but protects her in the long run. There are also times when she herself begins to feel a shift within. A person she once felt comfortable with no longer brings her the same sense of ease. Conversations that once felt natural begin to feel heavy or forced. She may not be able to explain it logically, but something within her is signaling that this connection is no longer good for her. And if she pays attention to that feeling, if she honors it instead of ignoring it, she is participating in her own protection. Distance is not always dramatic. It does not always come with conflict or closure. Sometimes it is quiet. Messages become less frequent, meetings become rare, and slowly the connection fades into the background of her life. She may wonder why it happened this way, why there was no clear ending, why things just slipped away. But sometimes that quiet distance is the gentlest form of mercy. It removes harm without creating unnecessary wounds. There are people who carry negativity, jealousy, manipulation, or su'aniyya, and if they remain in her life, they could slowly influence her in ways she may not even notice at first. They could affect her thoughts, her confidence, her decisions, even her relationship with Allah. But when she is under divine protection, those influences do not take root. They are cut off early before they have the chance to grow and cause deeper damage. It is important to understand that this kind of protection does not mean she will never feel lonely. There may be moments when she looks around and feels the absence of certain people. She may wonder why maintaining relationships seems harder for her than for others. She may question why people come and go so quickly in her life. But what she does not see is that she is being spared from connections that would have drained her, hurt her, or led her away from what is best for her. And sometimes the most painful separations turn out to be the most necessary ones. She may hold on to a connection, hoping it will improve, hoping the person will change, hoping things will go back to how they once were. But when Allah has written that someone is not meant to remain in her life, no amount of effort can force it to stay. And when that separation finally happens, it may break her heart for a while, but it also creates space. Space for healing, space for growth, space for something better to enter her life at the right time. Over time, when she reflects on the people who left, she begins to notice a pattern. She realizes that many of those connections, if they had continued, could have led her into situations that would have been far more painful than the separation itself. She begins to see that what she once perceived as rejection was actually redirection, that what she thought was abandonment was actually preservation. Distance in this sense becomes a form of rahmat. It is not always easy, it is not always understood, but it is always purposeful. And a woman who is protected by Allah learns gradually to trust that when someone leaves her life, it is not always a sign that she has lost something valuable. Sometimes it is a sign that she has been saved from something that could have harmed her in ways she may never fully comprehend. At the center of everything she experiences, there is a connection that quietly shapes her choices, her reactions, and the way she carries herself through life. It is not always visible to others, and sometimes it is not even something she consciously thinks about every moment, but it is there, steady and consistent. Her qalb remains attached to Allah, and that attachment becomes the compass that guides her, especially when life becomes confusing or uncertain. This connection does not mean she is perfect. It does not mean she never makes mistakes or never feels lost. There are moments when she struggles, when she feels distant, when her motivation weakens and her routine becomes inconsistent. But even in those moments, there is something within her that pulls her back. A quiet reminder, a sense of longing, a feeling that she needs to return. And when she does, even if it is with a tired heart and scattered thoughts, she finds that the connection is still there, waiting for her. Because her heart is connected to Allah, her decisions are not solely based on emotions or external pressure. She may feel drawn to something, she may desire it deeply, but there is always a pause within her, a moment where she reflects. She asks herself whether this path brings her closer to what is right or pulls her away from it. And even if the answer is not immediately clear, that act of reflection itself becomes a form of protection. It slows her down from rushing into situations that could harm her. There are times when she stands at a crossroads where one path seems easier, more appealing, more aligned with what she wants in the moment, while the other path feels heavier, requiring patience, restraint, or sacrifice. Her heart may lean toward the easier option, as any human heart would, but her connection to Allah introduces a deeper awareness. It reminds her that not everything that feels good is good for her, and not everything that is difficult is meant to harm her. And in that awareness, she finds the strength to choose differently, even when it is hard. This connection also shapes the way she sets boundaries. She does not allow just anyone to have access to her qalb, her time, or her energy. Not because she is closed off or distant, but because she understands the value of what she carries within. When someone's presence begins to disturb her peace, to pull her toward negativity, or to make her compromise her values, she feels it. And that feeling is not something she ignores. It becomes a signal, guiding her to step back, to create space, to protect what Allah has entrusted to her. Her qalb also finds comfort in remembrance. In moments of stress, confusion, or sadness, she naturally turns back, even if it is quietly, even if it is with simple words. She does not always need long explanations or perfect expressions. Sometimes it is just a whisper, a thought, a brief moment where she reconnects, and in that moment, something shifts within her. The weight she was carrying feels lighter, the chaos in her mind begins to settle, and she regains a sense of clarity that allows her to move forward. Because of this connection, she is not easily swayed by every opinion, every trend, or every influence around her. She listens, she observes, she considers, but she does not lose herself in the process. There is a meyar within her, a standard that helps her filter what she allows into her life. And that standard is not defined by people, but by her relationship with Allah. This gives her a kind of stability that protects her from being pulled in different directions by external noise. There are also moments when she does not understand why certain choices feel so strongly right or wrong. She may not have all the logical reasons. She may not be able to explain it to others, but her heart feels guided. It leans toward what brings her closer to goodness and pulls away from what carries discomfort or doubt. And that guidance is a mercy because it protects her from relying solely on limited understanding. It connects her to a source of wisdom far greater than her own. This does not mean her journey is always smooth. There are times when she hesitates, when she struggles between what she wants and what she knows is right. There are moments when she makes choices she later regrets, when she feels the consequences of her daf. But even then, her connection does not disappear. It becomes the path back. It allows her to recognize her mistakes, to seek forgiveness, to realign herself, and to continue moving forward without being consumed by guilt. Over time, this connection strengthens. It becomes more natural, more deeply rooted, more influential in the way she lives her life. It is no longer something she has to force or remind herself of constantly. It becomes a part of who she is. And through that connection, she is guided, protected, and supported in ways that go beyond what she can see or understand, shaping her journey with a quiet wisdom that keeps her aligned with what is best for her qalb and her akira.